Have you ever really wondered how someone actually builds a billion-dollar empire? I mean, really builds it. It's almost never just luck. It's a plan. It's a set of deliberate, engineered blueprints. So today, let's pull back the curtain and take a hard look at those blueprints.
So how is it really done? Yeah, you can forget the whole overnight success story, the lottery ticket fantasy. We're talking about the actual roadmaps people use to build wealth that lasts for generations. The kind of wealth that literally defines entire industries.
And here's the thing that's so fascinating. It's not just one single path. Not at all. Instead, the source material we're digging into reveals a whole collection of specific, repeatable strategies. Think of them as blueprints, each one tailored to exploit a totally different part of our global economy. So, let's start with the most foundational one.
All right, part 1, building the physical world. This first set of blueprints, it's all about the stuff you can literally touch. The concrete, the steel, the signals, everything that makes our modern world actually, work.
And this quote just nails it. This is the path of what we'll call the industrial king. These folks aren't building the next hot app. No, they're building the stuff that entire nations cannot function without. We're talking cement, sugar, oil. When you control the actual means of production, you get this incredible, quiet leverage over entire economies.
And this idea of a foundation builder, it's not just one type of person. You've got the resource master who literally controls what gets dug out of the ground, gold, energy, you name it. Then you have the telecom builder laying down the invisible pipes for our digital lives. And there's also the quiet infrastructure titan, the one who owns the ports and runways the entire global economy depends on. So, what do they all have in common?
It all comes down to one core concept: choke points. So what's a choke point? Well, think of it as a critical bottleneck in a system. If you own the only port in a region, or the only cell network, or the only supply of a key material, you don't have to compete anymore. You just grant access. That right there is the foundation of their power. It's a raw, physical world strategy, and man, it guarantees you stay on top.
Okay, so we've covered the physical world. Now let's shift gears and dive into part 2, architecting the digital age. Here, the game completely changes. The assets aren't concrete and steel anymore, they're invisible. We're talking code, capital, and data.
And in the tech world, there are basically 2 main roads you can take, and they couldn't be more different. They're like polar opposites. On one side, you've got the classic tech founder. This is a high-risk game. Your whole reputation, everything, is tied to building one thing from scratch. Then, on the other side, you have the tech capital allocator. Their strategy? Low personal risk. They don't build, they buy. Stable, existing companies and just make them more profitable.
This next quote just perfectly sums up that capital allocator mindset. It's capitalism with the emotion removed. They're not interested in moonshots or vibes. They buy the boring but absolutely essential software that runs huge companies, and then they quietly optimize it. It's a pure numbers game, capitalism turned into a machine.
Now, the founder's path? Man, that is a whole different story. It is brutal. There's absolutely nowhere to hide. You have to find a genuinely painful, universal problem. I mean, who doesn't hate scheduling meetings, right? And then you build a simple tool to solve it. The product has to be so good it basically grows by itself. It's sink or swim. If the product works, you survive. If it doesn't, you're gone. It's maybe the toughest, but also the most honest path in tech.
But there's actually a third player in this digital space: the data strategist. These are the people who are what you might call power adjacent. See, they don't make the final policy decision, but their dashboards, their data, that's what shapes the options the policymakers even get to see in the first place. So while their software isn't pulling the trigger, it's framing the entire reality. And that is an incredible form of power. All right, so we've done the physical world, we've done the digital world. Let's move on to our final section, part 3, manufacturing culture's narrative. This is where things get even more abstract, but believe me, just as powerful. We're talking about culture, attention, and belief itself. And this quote is really the key to understanding this whole section. Owning studios is more powerful than being cast in them. This is the blueprint for the media architect. People like Oprah and Tyler Perry understood this on a deep level. Why wait to be cast? Why ask for permission? Just build the whole studio. Own the production. Own the distribution. You stop being a player in the game and you become the one who owns the whole game board.
And this logic of ownership, it plays out all over the influence economy. You see it with the brand idol, who turns cultural loyalty into a massive business, often by spotting a market gap no one else was serving. You see it with the athlete investor, who gets that an endorsement is great, but actual ownership stake is how you build real, lasting wealth. And then, kind of operating in the background, you've got the real estate compounder, just building quiet, generational wealth through patient, boring, but incredibly effective deals.
So we've seen these different blueprints, right? The industrial, the digital, the cultural, but that all begs a bigger question. Why these specific paths? What's the hidden thread that connects them all? Well, this is where we get to the real heart of the matter, the final revelation.
And here it is, the big insight. These paths aren't just clever strategies. They are necessary responses to a system where access to things like capital, credit, and powerful networks was never evenly distributed. When you can't just get easy venture capital, you can't afford to take wild bets. You have to build differently. You have to secure those choke points we talked about, whether it's a factory, a software platform, or the cultural narrative itself.
Now let's look at a hard number. The combined wealth of all the Black billionaires this analysis covers comes out to around $90 billion. And that sounds like a massive astronomical number, right? And it is, but let's put that number into perspective for a second. Just look at this chart. That $90 billion, that's the total from all of these different blueprints we've talked about, all combined, is completely dwarfed by the wealth of just a handful of individual founders who had access to a different system. This visual right here, it tells you pretty much everything you need to know.
Because what we're looking at, it's not a talent gap. It's not an ambition gap. It's a systems gap. The system itself, the financial system, the social networks, that's what ultimately decides who gets the chance to really truly compound their wealth and who doesn't. Which brings us to the final crucial takeaway, perfectly summarized in this one quote. Power isn't random, it's engineered. Wealth and power on this level, it doesn't just happen, it's built. It's the result of deliberate strategies, often engineered specifically to navigate a system that wasn't designed to give everyone an equal shot. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know the routes, now that you have the blueprints, what do you see differently? When you look out at the world of business, of tech, of culture, what other choke points, what other engineered paths can you now see hiding in plain sight?